making the call with Walt Anderson and Steve Mariucci. So, Walt, all right, listen, we saw yesterday in the Texans and the Chiefs game, a couple of interesting penalties. There was unnecessary roughness and roughing the passer. Can you take us through first roughing the passer?
Yes, you bet, Colleen. On the roughing the passer, whenever the defender comes in, and there's a couple of points, and when we end up looking at the video, I think the audience will end up seeing this. But when the defenders come in, and when they end up coming in face to face, if there's contact to the head of the quarterback, that's probably going to be called by the officials, and that's what you can see here. Now, it has to be forcible, and one of the things we added this year is if there's no contact at all to the helmet, replay can assist. But on this play, there was contact, and so replay could not help the officials with picking that up. Now, you can end up having debate about whether you felt it was forcible or not, and that's going to be one of those conversations for the competition committee to consider next year. But when he comes in right there face to face, officials are going to call that. That's the rule for this year. And the other thing that a lot of your audience might not realize is in most all of the rule book, when in question, officials are not supposed to call a foul. But there's one place in the rule book where it states by rule that when in doubt, officials are to call roughing the passer, and it's in the roughing the passer rule.
All right. Quarterbacks get protected, Colleen. Okay, so there's another play.
They're going to protect.
Yeah.
They're going to protect the quarterbacks.
And later on in the third quarter now, Patrick Mahomes, he starts running around like he does, right? And a couple of Texan players are going to hit him. It's a slide. It seems that the Texas players collide with each other and hardly touch Patrick Mahomes. This was called unnecessary roughness. You got to explain this to us.
Yeah.
You bet, Coach, and I think you said the right word there, it seems like, because whether it seems like it or not, officials have to call based on what they see. Now, when a player goes to the ground, he doesn't even have to be touched. He's down. And what happens here is when you can see, and yes, the two players end up colliding, but right here, this is the shot. When number 39 comes in and his hairline of his helmet strikes the helmet of the runner who is already on the ground, that's a foul. And even if replay assist could help in that, when there's contact like that, that's not going to be changed by replay assist, even if the committee decides to add that for next year.
It just seems like the severity of that little graze on his helmet, Walt, was just
what, an
minute.
inch?
It was like
it's a game of inches or something.
You have to call that, huh?
Well, it is a game of inches, Colleen, and, this is one of those areas that is always going to be debated in terms of what's forcible, what's not. You want to end up having guidelines, and I'm encouraged that the committee every year adds some things for us to help with replay assist. But the game is not ever going to be perfect, and one thing we don't want to do is we don't want to let perfect be the enemy of good. We always want to work at continuing to try to can we make the game better? Can we use replay assist to help pick up things that are clearly and obviously not a foul, but in those areas that are gray and may be debatable, we have to leave those on the field.
We've been doing this all year, and it's been great. Seems to me the general theme, though, is that in the offseason, you guys got to figure out a way to increase replay assist, right? More situations.
Oh, yes.
I mean,
totally agree with that, Coach.
And I know it extends the game and all that, but
that's going to be done.
Yeah, it's going to be done. Okay.
Can't
you
let
just heard it right here.
Be the enemy of good. Sounds like Walt Anderson has been reading a little inner excellence. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm not, but Walt Anderson, maybe you can answer that next week on Making the...
Oh, hi. Just doing a little light reading here. This time last week, author Jim Murphy didn't even know A.J. Brown, but after Fox cameras caught Brown reading a copy of Murphy's book, Inner Excellence, while on the sideline during the game against the Packers, the two are now fast friends, talking about potentially doing some charitable work via Brown's foundation. Inner Excellence rocketed up bestseller list this past week, thanks in part to Eagles tight end C.J. Uzomah buying 70 copies so that every player in this locker room would have one. I talked to Murphy yesterday. He said he and Brown met at the facility on Friday, had a good chat about this book's impact on Brown, about making a difference in yourself before you can help others. He said that's what he's working on, and I'm just grateful to be a small part of his journey. Murphy will also be a small part of the crowd here at Lincoln Financial Field today, obviously rooting for Brown and the Eagles.
Well, since week 15, you could make book. See what I'm saying? On the Rams defense coming downhill and hitting you chapter and verse. Do you see what I'm going with that? You know what I mean? It's just like, this is what happens when I don't have to wake up at 4 in the morning, you know? Take it away, Kurt.
All right, Gerald, let's break it down a little bit further. Both these guys have great groups up front, but let's take it inside to their main guys. Jared versus, Rich just said, Jalen Carter over on this side. Which is going to be more disruptive for the opposing quarterback today?
I love Jalen Carter as a player more. D-tackle, obviously I'm leaning towards D-tackle, but we're talking about opposing QBs. I got to go with Jared Verse because he's more of a pass rusher right now. I'll show you what I mean. He plays with great effort. When you play with great effort, what comes along that with great technique. You see him stab, chop, keep chopping, hands never stop, high rip, finish on the quarterback. Now, this is what I say with playing with great effort. Guys like this, they're always going to have success. Max Crosby type guys. He's going to go underneath, they're going to run a little stunt, knock the tackle off, and just bull rush the guard. Now we on the quarterback right now, ball out, and this guy's a rookie. Yeah. Him playing like that, man, his future is bright. But, yeah, he's going to be a headache for Jalen Hurts today.
Yeah, Rich and I did their game a few weeks back, and he didn't have necessarily the huge sack number. Right. But you heard everybody talk about the impact that he was having with what he was doing and leading to everybody else. Both of these teams have a bunch of guys that can get after the quarterback, and these two guys' role is, hey, if you can't get there, you just use up bodies and allow those other guys to get there. So it's going to be a tough task for either offensive line today to stop these guys and stop the rest of their group, Cynthia.
What's going on here when it comes to pressure? This is actually an interesting season. Since 2018, Matthew Stafford has never had a sub 50% pressure rate. This year, it's 48%. In fact, he's only thrown 2 touchdowns when under pressure, tied for the fewest in the league. So this is an interesting matchup because we know that Eagles defense is going to bring the heat. And also, the designed rollouts that he has been using a ton. He does have an only 15% pressure rate when he's using them, but I'm pretty sure that that is a Vic Fangio special, and they will be ready for it. Now we're going out to Cam Wolfe, who's in Buffalo.
Cynthia, Derrick Henry's embracing his new nickname, McQueen, given to him by Lamar Jackson, a reference to the Cards character, Lightning McQueen. Lamar says Derrick zooms past defenders like a movie. And the Ravens signed Henry for games like this. He's been a 1-2 punch with Lamar. You get Derrick's power and speed, Lamar's elusiveness, and really in Todd Monken's scheme, they've created conflict on defenders, and they hope to do that against the Ravens today. And look, their center, Tyler Linderbaum, told me there was a walkthrough earlier this season where Derrick Henry ran into his back, and it felt like a boulder. He also talks about defenders joking how they're happy they don't get Derrick Henry's stiff arm in practice. Well, the Bills, they'll have to deal with it at a different level this game. They got ran all over week 4, but they welcome back Matt Milano, Terrell Bernard, Teron Johnson, 3 of their best defenders who didn't play in week 4 loss. They may need Mate or 2 to be able to handle McQueen and Lamar. Rich?
Indeed, sir. So the 3 guys who are